Why Bankstown?
He pops in and with a big sign, "Will you marry me?" and stages behind him, and it's a big, zalghuta and everything happening at the back, and I'm like, I'm the teacher, you know what I mean? Like there's high schoolers in there.
Oh wow. I used to think like that when I was back in Lebanon, but now
So true.
I see it in a completely different perspective, and I see that, I think I was a bit racist back then.
Yes, it's either black or white, nothing in between. We don't know anything in between. All right, coming here like, oh my God, look at this, look at that. When we started really our life here and they started seeing, Lebanon is going backward and Australia is actually giving us the bare minimum of living, that's when they thought, they actually were smart.
Charbel Christine, I consider you to be the power couple of Bankstown.
Oh, wow.
Convince me otherwise.
Do we have to?
Thanks for this big responsibility, but to all my humbleness, Yani, I think, we could be considered.
Like, look, this poses the question: why Bankstown?
I don't know. It just
We live there?
Yeah, we live there. We started off our life in Australia there, and just when it needs to happen, it happens. So
Okay.
when you settle in a place and you just network and expand, you start becoming ibn al-hayy, as we say in Arabic.
And when you have her as a wife as well. That helps.
Yeah, tell me more about that. Like when you first came into Bankstown and started living here.
Yeah.
Yeah, what happened and what was the transition from Lebanon to here?
It's a very long story. Try to go as short as
Start
possible.
me from the beginning.
So when we first decided to come to Australia 7 years ago, it started in Queensland. And when we started there, we thought, that is not us. It's too hard to start here. We're a young couple. We need more social life. We need more business opportunities. It was more kind of a quiet place. As everyone knows, Queensland is a lovely place for retirement, but not to start a life in. So then we decided to come to Sydney and Bankstown because I had family in Bankstown, and that's how we decided to be in the LGA, close to family. And thank goodness it all started through our parish. We were able to find work, and it all started from there, one after the other, find schools and all that.
Lucky coincidences.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And just there, we started working and settling.
When you first came in, Bankstown is majority immigrants at that time, and it's a very multicultural area, specifically in the Middle Eastern region. Did you realize any similarities with culture, and was it easier to move into that area?
Yes, there were similarities, but yes, there were a lot of differences too, even within the same country that we come from. Just, in Lebanon, we have a lot of differences as well in our country. But yeah, similarities, because I'll tell you a very funny story. When we first landed from Queensland to Bankstown, or to Sydney down to Bankstown, the first thing that we wanted was tabbouleh and batata because we didn't have that for so long in Queensland. So yes, it's easier because you find your groceries, you're used to the way you're cooking your stuff there. People talk your same language, think the same like you. So it was easier settling in than in Queensland, definitely.
Right. And in Bankstown, I think a lot of people, they refer to it as a Lebanese area, and there's a lot of...
The Lebos are.
Lebos.
Yes.
But I know in Lebanon, things are actually quite different.
True.
Can you tell me more about those differences and your experiences in Lebanon?
Us coming from Beirut, myself and Bremena, Mount Lebanon for Charbel, we're mainly, sorry to say that, but that's the reality in Lebanon, where we're split between religions and politics. So we're mainly from the Christian areas, and it was more dealing with the Christians. And in Lebanon, it's like Beirut al-Gharbiyya wal-Sharqiyya, these differences that, there were differences back in Lebanon. Luckily, I can say we merged in Australia. Like, it doesn't matter your religion, your political background. All you care about is, oh God, they're Lebanese like us, you know, and we speak the same language. And it was nice to see how we, you know, collaborate and come as one in an immigrating country. But we actually fight back at home. So yeah, that's the differences that we actually found uniting us in Australia.
Right. And that's a huge perspective shift from my perspective. You know, because from when I grew up in Australia. I was born in Lebanon, grew up in Australia. And my whole life, if I saw a Lebanese person, I'm like, oh, you're Lebanese. That's great. Because it's such a multicultural nation.
Nah, we have to go. We're from Lebanon. شو اسم بيك? شو عائلتك? You know, we go like that because that's how they used to live. That's how they know how to live. So now it's like, yes, seeing a Lebanese without thinking about all the other questions is great.
Right. Because everything is so different.
Different way of living.
Yeah, and then again, you have, as you said, it's a very multicultural area. So you have people from different cultures as well. And whether you like it or not, there is an effect from other cultures on whatever is on the Lebanese of Bankstown. So for us, even although like we've traveled before we came here and we had friends from other cultures and all that, but now living with them 24/7, you can see that you start having a paradigm shift. You start understanding, oh, wow, I used to think like that when I was back in Lebanon, but now I see it in a completely different perspective. And I see that, oh, I think I was a bit racist back then.
Yes. There is something between black and white. That's right. You know, in Lebanon, it's either black or white, nothing in between. We don't know anything in between, right? Coming here, like, oh my God, look at this, look at that. So,
right. Can you tell me more about that? Because I realized that as well with not only my parents, but also relatives that have lived the majority of their life in Lebanon, where there isn't a room for flexibility in that way. It's very judgmental. It's this is what this is, this is what this is.
Yeah.
And I can see a benefit to that. I can see a benefit being that it's easier on the mind. You just straight away you choose, it's either this or that, and you don't, it's just like a known code behind everyone.
It's not easier on the mind, it's just subconsciously molding you, right? Because there is other options than that or that, but it's just not offered because the culture is different.
Yeah, and look, the mind always resists change. It's easier to say, okay, that's us, that's the Lebanese, that's how we like it, so that's the best. Anything outside of this is not us, is not good.
It's challenging.
And anyone else is the same. So if we see how other cultures behave, and it's different from how we behave, then, oh, they're doing the wrong thing.
We end up being judgmental.
And especially with all since like both major religions in Lebanon they have heaven and hell, that makes it even more difficult. So they're all going to hell. Yeah. Then you start thinking that there's definitely much more than this. I mean, it can't be that there's only these two options for us. There's much more than this.
There is more to the world.
Yes, especially when you meet other people and you learn about their religions, you see how they behave. When you start talking to them as well and you see why they do these things in that certain way, you learn that there's more than one way to do the same thing.
Yeah. Charbel, what's the biggest thing you realized that was different in the culture and the way that you interact with everyone from when you were in Lebanon to when you were in Australia?
Look, the first thing you realize, and it's a very cliche, is that back in Lebanon, when we say Sri Lankan, it means made.
Yes.
Right.
Whereas here you understand that, no, that's a whole country. Well, that's where we went for our honeymoon, and we knew this, but knowing it is something, and experiencing it and seeing that, oh, okay, well, that Sri Lankan is a doctor.
He's the landowner.
He's actually good. So you start seeing, oh, okay, no, we were, as I said before, we were racist. And you start getting out of this bubble, and you start learning that there is much more to the world than what we had in our small part of it.
Yeah. That's actually becomes conversation and discussion that my parents and I had to have, because they kept referring to a maid or so as a Sri Lankiye.
Yes.
I'm like,
this
Mom,
is
do you know what that means?
100%.
What was something that you experienced, Christine?
I think it's similar. It's similar because I was born in Australia and left here. I was so young and went to Lebanon. So being raised in Lebanon as an Australian, saying, "Sham tam lihon," like why are you here? Like you can live in Australia. Look, there is the mentality that Charbel was speaking about that I was raised with, and you see how like there's a whole new world out there, different world, as well. But what I didn't experience in Australia, let me say, is the come together, the big one hand, one heart family, the lifestyle that we're used to. Like every door is open at any time. You can pop in and have dinner, have coffee and leave. We can all gather in one place. No formalities. Here, you get a text before you see someone. You got to make sure they're not going to be offended, or you know what I mean? Like, that's the family kind of lifestyle is what we miss. But definitely seeing what you've gained, it's no comparison.
Completely, yeah. That's something I crave for. I think the closest I got to that was when our teta, she used to gather us all. Like, would come surprise her randomly out of nowhere. She wouldn't even know. She would have a 1% chance of knowing that we came. 30 minutes later,
got food for everyone.
It's a whole feast.
All packed for you.
Everything. How? Explain. And not only that, we didn't talk with anyone to come. All of a sudden, every relative on the planet has come and they're sitting down with us.
In Australia, it's very practical lifestyle. You run for your work, you run for your routine. You're always busy, you're always stressed. Although you have much more than what you had in Lebanon. You're much more relaxed as a lifestyle than Lebanon. But still, you don't have that family kind of life. It's a different lifestyle, but you get used to it. Yeah.
I actually want to go deeper into that. There's a term floating around, and it's as more immigrants start to migrate into Australia. It's called the immigrant edge, and the immigrant edge. It's like it's a benefit. You have a head start in life because of the perspective shift from being in a third world country and coming into Australia. That level of baseline gratitude that happens when you first come and you're like, everything's so much better than Lebanon or better than XX country, then why can't I be happy? Life will always be greater.
So, look, you can't gain everything in life, that's for sure, but you need to set your priorities. So for us, we were living comfortably in Lebanon, let me say. We come from good areas. We come from good educational backgrounds. We had our own house. Our kids were, around families. But then being parents of two lovely kids, we go like, then what? Good education? Is there medication? Can we afford that when we grow older? When we stop working, when we age, how life is going to be. So thinking more maturely for the future, that's what made us come here. We could have stayed and then decided to come when war didn't, but so setting your priorities, and we were blamed. Why are you leaving? You have your own home. Your work is good. What's going on with you? But when we started really our life here and they started seeing, Lebanon is going backwards and Australia is actually giving us the bare minimum of living, that's when they thought, they actually were smart, So that's it, setting priorities, I think, for family.
Yeah. And look, about the immigrant edge that you mentioned, because in Lebanon, or immigrants in general, they have it much harder. They don't have what is available sometimes freely in Australia. So we have to struggle for everything. We actually learn how it works. We actually learn why it works that way and not another way. So when we come here and we're bringing all that baggage with us, we use it differently sometimes. Yeah. And when we use it that way, natives, I don't know what, like Australians in general, they think that, that was smart, that was different. And we get that a lot. But to us, that was common sense, or that was...
we had to learn it the hard way or our way. And we couldn't get it as is in Lebanon. So we had to learn it. So we come here like, oh my God, that was smart. How did you do that? Oh, I learned it the hard way. Yeah.
Yeah, like at one of my previous jobs before I moved into media, I used to work at a college. That college had some trouble with the law in general. Their main issue was that they always thought that, okay, this is what other colleges are doing. Let's just get what they're doing and do it ourselves. But when I went in and took over, I had to go through the legislation, see what's going on, understand why this is happening, why this college is doing it this way. Whereas when I used to teach at university, we were doing it another way and it was working. Why don't they apply this here? And then I went into the legislation, talked to compliance officers, saw how they thought about it, and came up with a solution which was outside the box. To me, it wasn't really outside the box, but
it was the way we do it.
The way things were being done, it was. And that's, in the end, we were able to convince the compliance auditors that, yes, it works, and it gives the same result that you guys are looking for. And that was it. We went through, we finished, and then we continued.
Right, that capacity to just think freely.
Outside the box.
Yeah. And not necessarily follow standards, but to find the best way forward. Yeah, that's interesting.
And that usually, it doesn't have to always be, dodgy, because it's known that, Arabs in general, we do it the dodgy way. No, it's just we research. Like we can see it in a different positive way, right? Why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? How can we do it differently? Thinking out of the box, researching, rather than just saying, no, we do this just because that's the law. But why is that the law?
What's behind
it? Right? Like, let's research. Well, doing this can sometimes help you change the law, update the law, improve the law. That's why you see most of, speaking about the Lebanese now, because that's us, they move forward. Like they go up levels and stages because they think differently.
Right. I think a lot of it is perspective. I think a lot of it is thinking that it's meant to be a way, like having the expectation, it's just meant to be.
It's where you come from, how you experience it, how you were raised, why you had to think that way. All comes with the experience you bring along.
And people who are born here, they are used to it in a certain way. They have it easy. So they don't need to bother about, why don't I improve it? Well, it's working. Just let it be.
Right.
Whereas where we come from, we've seen other things. We think that we might be able to do it better, although we don't come from a better place. But because we come from a, let's say, worse place,
we had to do it.
We had to create our own environments which were better, and we found different ways.
Right. It's like creating your own environment because the one that you have now isn't optimal. So it's that creation allows you to do that. Growing up, I know from the stories I've heard, just based on stories, that it's a more stressful environment in terms of finding a way. Things need to happen. You have to create things within your own hands. You can't rely on external government or whatever, which poses and plunges a person into critical thinking.
Yes.
And what I want to know is, what were your childhoods like in Lebanon? And give me stories. How did that cause you to think like that?
Go ahead.
Look, my childhood back in Lebanon was like a bit weird because I had Asperger's syndrome, which is part of autism, and I didn't know about it. And because it's bordering on being borderline, but at the same time, I think differently. I see the social world differently. People thought that I might be just eccentric or weird or whatever. So I was sometimes bullied for it. I was sometimes ignored for it. I didn't get the same opportunities that other people would have got if I had just a little more push to go for it. But at the same time, I did things other people did not do. So I wrote my own books. I wrote poems. I created work.
He actually diagnosed himself.
Yes. Eventually, when I started working with autism, I'm like, this child, he does this and I do this too, but I didn't know why I was doing it. And then I started seeing more similarities between myself and kids with autism. If I didn't get that job by accident, I wouldn't have even thought about it. But then when I found out, I spoke to a psychologist and got myself diagnosed, and it's like, yes, you are on the spectrum. It made sense. It made sense at the same time that I was succeeding a lot with kids with autism. And it was because we were both on the spectrum, we understood one another. From there, I started working more on personalities as well. So that also helped me enhance myself and help others find their own way.
Right. Yeah. Tell me more about how life was like being different in a maybe in a country that didn't identify those that's the spectrum in itself, and maybe the hardships and what you had to do to overcome those growing up.
It's not they didn't identify it. I can say they were in denial to identify it. Yeah.
Denial.
Because we are one of the countries that do work with kids with special needs, and we are one of the good countries that have good skills for them. It's just we're in denial that they're that close to harm.
It's always other people have these problems.
Haram, ibnun, I don't know what. Haram, Jara, I don't know what. But not me, not my son.
Yeah.
You know? I think that is the main issue was with Charbel back then.
That would have been challenging then if there's a sense of denial as if your identity may have been on the line there.
In a way. But for me, when like it's an old chapter. And I kind of moved on from there. I even started forgetting parts of it. Luckily.
Improving, and he's matured. He's an adult now.
I think so. Yeah.
No, because I experienced this with him through marriage. Like, because he told me like he was on this man. I was like, same again. The Lebanese way of thinking, right? Not in denial, but I didn't expect it. But then trying to speak maybe to the mother-in-law or my mom, I'd be like, I can't do this in marriage. I can't do that. Charbel's doing this, Like, you're overreacting, right? But when we decided, you know what, we're both adults. Let's do this together. Let's go to maybe counseling together. Let's learn how to deal together. And that's when we learned to improve together.
Yeah.
And now we know, and Charbel is a genius in what he does. He needs like a little push with, maybe social aspects and stuff like that. That's when I kick in. And I go like, okay, let's do this together. That's where I support, Not because I know better, but because I know we can do it better together.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm realizing, for every con, there's a pro.
Definitely.
In that regard. Yeah. How did you learn to use those maybe disadvantaged in some areas as a child growing up, especially in high school, I can assume, and then turn that into the positive?
High school was a bit weird because we were in a very small school, so it didn't show up much. And I can say I had good friends in high school. So they kind of made it easier, and everyone was so busy with the terminal.
Just the HSC.
Yeah, kind of like HSC, only a much bigger deal. Yeah. So, and I was good at biology. I was good in physics. So people would come to me to tutor them, to help them out. So that kind of made it easier for me to deal with people. And then soon after I graduated and I started working, that's when I discovered myself and started kind of undoing the damage I had been doing to myself all through. That was it. Yeah.
Now it's history.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And how's your childhood like?
Kind of similar, because I was raised with a single mom. So it was always, I should be aware and conscious of responsibility and, how to do things and why we can and why we can't. I was growing with my mom and my grandmother, and I used to be obese as well. So I used to be bullied a lot in school, in primary school, and that caused a little low self-esteem and less confidence. But because I was, good in high school, so my grades were high, and that's how I grabbed friends as well, like, trying to teach each other and tutor each other and help each other. But later, I don't know how. I just thought, I think it's because I corrected my body. Like I tried to work on my body and just, go through the normal size, let's say. This has brought confidence to me. And now I'm one of the people who I do not mind to see people and talk to them. I'm very sociable. I'm very active. I'm very, I can go on stage. I can speak. My confidence, all of this has changed. So I think, correcting ourselves, going back to what we were saying, we learned it the hard way. So we learned how to deal with it, and we dealt with it, and here we are. I think if we were raised in countries like Australia, we might be maybe relying a lot on counselors and professional people, because that's the way that should be done. But in Lebanon, I was like, either too expensive to go to them, or we're just in denial that we really need them, or things like that. So we had to deal with it our way, right? Now, having both of these experiences with 2 kids here in Australia, we try for them not to have them deal with it their own way or just alone. At the same time, if you need a counselor, by all means, let's do these. But at the same time, I'd be like, you need to learn how to overcome your obstacles, right? Rather than all the time be like, okay, I'll go there and I'll, just speak to that teacher for you. No, you go and try to do it, because we did it the hard way. I'm just telling you that you need to do it, right? Rather than you discovering to need to do it. Let's see how you can do it. If you couldn't, you have the support behind you, whether it's us or the counselors. So we try to, from our experience, give them to our, kids, but at the same time, let them.
Of course. I mean, that's ultimately that self-reliance, that empowerment, personal empowerment that you experienced it's crucial. It's ultimately what, in my opinion, when I were to go to a counselor or a psychologist, they try to do for me. They try to guide me to empower myself. And then that's ultimately what you did within yourselves.
That's true. And we are one of billions in Lebanon and other countries. Some people had positive outcomes like ours, but others maybe didn't. And this is, I believe it's a responsibility from deep down inside to be like, hey, you guys, no, let's do it the good way, right? You can still be a good human if you had a bad experience, right?
I know for myself, there was a moment where I had to choose, and there were moments I had to choose that decision. Do I blame everyone, resent everyone, and consider myself to be a victim? Or do I actually try to become the better person?
If you became a victim, then what? Like, you didn't gain anything, right?
Yeah, but it's the easy way out for once.
No, I don't think it's the way out. It's the way deeper in. Like, you're drowning.
Was there a moment when you were maybe getting bullied where you experienced a bit of that and you had to make that decision?
Yes. I used to hide a lot. Like, okay, if I'm being bullied because I'm fat, so I may just not go out and people not see that I'm fat and I'm not bullied, and that's it. But then there's so much more in me. Like, I'm a pharmacist. I've graduated as a pharmacist, so I do know a lot. I do like to help a lot, So why just hide? Why don't I go out there and just speak? It wasn't easy at all, because the environment in Lebanon, like, we have this gene where, like, if someone falls in front of you, the first thing you do is laugh rather than go and say, hey mate, are you all right? Let me help you. It's just who we are, right? So
natural bullies.
Yeah, I think so. So I'd be like, okay, so if I go out there, okay, they're gonna laugh more, and I'm gonna put myself into more embarrassment, right? But I just learned. One time I try 1%, then 2%, then 100%, and I'm there. It happened to me when I came to Australia before I even, lost all the weight and all that. But maybe you think there is support. Like, you'd be like, I do have rights here more than I did back there. So I'd be like, no, excuse me, you're just, you just bullied me. Like, you just said this and that. You owe me an apology. You have the heart to say that because that's how they teach you. You have support, you can stand up for yourself. There's rights for everyone. But back at home, if I would have stopped and everyone and say, hey, you have an apology for me, they're going to laugh.
And if they had a wasta, you're in trouble.
Yeah, even if there is a wasta, regardless you're good or bad.
Yeah, if they know a certain politician or if they know, you're screwed.
But eventually I had to go out there, right, to stand up for myself. Because, we're not going to just keep on hiding and drown and go into the dark moments and times. I think it's also within you. Like, if you are deep down inside a good, bright person, you're going to end up being that bright person regardless how you end up going there.
I had so much of those experiences. Yeah. Growing up, I was also quite chubby and obese and diagnosed. And there were times I wanted to hide. I wanted to disappear 100%. Off the planet of the earth. And as I got bullied, as I got slapped, kicked, all those things, I had that choice. Yeah. I was like, do you continue to allow this? Or even worse, hide away and run away from everything? Or do you actually stand up for yourself? Do I stand up for myself? Does David think he can provide a benefit to society? Does David think that this good in him can be given? Yeah. And all I had to do was wait 10 years. Yeah. That's all I had to do. Give it time, put in some work, and eventually this will happen.
Yeah, but it's that choice you made 10 years ago that fermented into this.
Yeah.
Yes, we keep on going. We can keep on going forever, right? It's the decisions you do, or you decide to make to yourself that will take you somewhere. So, in my opinion, it's better be the positive ones, because, as I said before, when you keep on drowning and drowning and drowning, and then what? There should be an ending, and then you should either rise or rise. There's no other way. It's like a saying the best way going rock bottom is the only way to go is up, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that so much.
And never take those as excuses to keep on going, right? As Charbel said, it's done, it's dusted, it's in the past.
Let's move on.
It's not like, I used to be bullied, so now please, I had a bad history. No, I don't care what was behind me. Let's do it from now on.
Yeah. And a lot of this happens in school. A lot of it does happen in school, which leads me on to the next thing. And I'm very curious because you both met in school.
We did.
You met as teachers.
Yes.
Please explain the story to me.
Go ahead.
Well, I had just got this job at the school in Lebanon. It was a step up from the previous job I had. So I was the coordinator of a department. And she was one of the teachers in that department.
The victims of that department.
Yeah. That's why our song is, the one, we found love in a hopeless place. Yeah, that was it.
It was a hopeless.
It was trending back then, and it was very true.
Very relevant.
Very relevant, yes. So we met and we clicked. So
we had a lot to do together because he was the boss, like the coordinator. I had to bring him a lot of reports, and we had a lot of work together, and that's when things started.
Yeah, eventually I just sent her a message on WhatsApp. I'm like, you know what? It was the dean. She said, "Oh, you guys click together. Why don't you go out?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why not? Let's try." So I sent her a message, and I'm like, "They said this. What do you think?" She's like, "Oh, I just got out of a long relationship, and I'm not in. I don't want to see you anymore. That's it." I'm like, you know what? What's the worst that can happen? Either it works, and if it doesn't work, you cry for another week, and that's it.
Cry for an extra week. Easy. I'll be like, okay. Yeah, so we just decided to give it a go. And we were just dating for a couple of months, and then suddenly I was teaching in a class. Being a teacher, you always have people like the dean and others. They would come for inspection and see how you're doing, and reporting and things like that. So the dean decided to come into my class that day and be like,
decide.
Yeah, they did it. They decided to prank me that day. And she's like, I'm gonna come for a little report. And I was telling him, she's coming for a report. What does she want? Like, did you say anything? Because you're my direct boss, right?
It was a couple of days before the Christmas holidays.
Yeah.
Why would the dean come in and no one's doing anything serious during
Convenient
that time?
Yeah. So I was teaching and she was in there. So she was in there for a reason because she wanted to videotape what's going on then. So, and then he pops in and with a big sign, will you marry me? And teachers behind him. And it's a big, zalghuta and everything happening at the back. And I'm like, I'm the teacher. You know what I mean? Like there's high schoolers in there.
It was during a class.
I bet you not that these kids were the quietest through the year because they were like, jaw dropped.
They were never so.
And they're like, Mr. Charbel, the serious guy, and Miss Christine, the very strict person. They're dating what? They go like, and he's like, you gotta say yes. I'm like, seriously, like I'm all red and everyone is
still hasn't though.
Still in the process.
It's the the body language that talks, right? And it went from there.
I think I missed something. Did you say a few months into dating?
Oh yeah.
Let me clarify this.
So
we
met in September.
We dated. We engaged.
Proposal was in December.
Yes, we got engaged. We married in August. We went to honeymoon, came back pregnant in less than a year.
Yeah.
In less than a year?
Yeah.
Yes.
How do you even manage to do that?
Look, I have a policy in life. If it's working, keep going.
Yeah, look, it was a little bit daunting for me because as Charbel mentioned before, I was in a long relationship before that and it took 10 years. 10 years not deciding if yes, no, I don't know, right? Going into another relationship where everything is happening as fast as possible. I'm like, I don't know. Like, and then, when there's, that's our faith, right? I think that's it because it was working and it kept on going and it kept on going.
Yeah.
So when I was giving birth, I was like to Sky in 2014. And I was like, last summer, I was partying. This summer, I'm with a little bit. What's going on? It was fast, but I don't think we would have done it another way. We were 10 years this year.
You literally just had your anniversary a few weeks ago.
Yes.
10 years.
Yes.
Yep. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Right. So it's definitely working and
you make it work. You make it work. Coming from a broken family myself, I think we make it work because the easiest decisions, going back to that, would be my mom and dad divorced. It's easy for me to divorce. I mean, it didn't work for them. Why would it work for me? And I can tell you I did a great job because having my mom living with me now and sometimes witnessing some negotiations and arguments happening at home, she'd be like, you know what, Christine, if I were you back then, I wouldn't have done that. I don't know how you did it. You did a great job. Good on you. That keeps that family going. So I believe you decide how the family would go. It would go through ups and downs and more downs than ups than you think. But yeah, you'd decide. If it should continue, you'd go above and beyond to make it continue or not.
I hear so many times that there's like an excuse that goes around where because it happened, blah, 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 it's going to happen to me.
He wasn't my destiny and I don't know what. Well, he wasn't either. I don't know how it happened anyways. and all of people say, oh, you met in school, so that's a love story. No, it's not. It wasn't. We were just in the conversation yesterday because it was daunting and because he was thinking it was working and let's go for it. I'm like, you know what? Okay, let's go for it. But did I love him back then? I can't say I did. I used a lot of my logic and, how things are going. Okay, he's a good guy. He's got a degree. We've got a house. We've got these. We've got things are working, the things that you need to think about in Lebanon to survive. So okay, then it looks like it's working. Let's do it. Ups and downs, yes, a lot. Were times that we thought it's not going to work. Yes, absolutely. But it's the days and nights and times that we're committed to each other that now, do you ask me it's a love marriage? I'd say absolutely it is, right? After 10 years. But it didn't start like that. But my grandmother back at home used to say, الحب بيجي بعد العشرة. And that's what actually happened to us. So alhamdulillah, I think we're on the right track.
I think it's a valuable lesson. I think too many people now, not trying to make it like a now thing, but there's a lot of focus on chemistry before the actual logistics behind making it happen.
Yeah.
Because once the chemistry fades, which it will, and when the chemistry fades, it usually comes back down. Would the logistics keep it in place? Is there a reason to be together? What do you think about
Again, it's experiences. It's where you're coming from. It's the scenario itself. Before Charbel, I used to be in a love relationship and I thought it was working, but it didn't work. Not because it's a love relationship. Like there's different circumstances that go around and experiences of life. So for me, if I would give my advice, if I can say, go for a non-love relationship. No, well, I don't know how it's going to work for you. It worked for me. It might not for you. It's not like a rule that you have to abide to.
You have to want to make it work.
Yeah.
Because as she said earlier, it's very easy to just say, oh, okay.
It's not working.
I don't want that. I don't want this anymore. I want to get out of it. It's very easy to do that. But then you start thinking that, is this really the right way?
Or is it going to work
is this
that
what
way?
I want in my life? No.
Seeing my mom struggling as a single mom and then thinking for me when we go through an argument, okay, is that what I wanted to do? Struggle with 2 kids like my mom struggled with me all by myself just because he didn't put away the dishes, for example, right? You know, you need to just make your balance in your life and think, if you took the easy way out, will the other path be easier?
Easy way out.
Yeah, well, it was easy to say, you know what, it's not working. But would it be easy to continue my life with 2 kids without my partner?
And also you have to think of the kids.
The kids, definitely.
Would it be good for them? Sometimes, yes, it might be good for them, especially when the relationship becomes very toxic.
Yeah.
But it's always good to kind of head it off before it gets there. So understanding the other person, knowing what makes them tick in a way, and knowing how to kind of avoid their pain points.
And they are learning that they are as well, like their parents are as well, overcoming obstacles. It's not only them that are passing through obstacles.
Yes,
Everyone passes through obstacles.
The way I see it working is that she understood what makes me tick and what makes me tick off. And she started to kind of know how to deal with me, and at the same time I knew that she was doing that and I was doing the same for her, and that's what made it work. So you have to know that the other person is also trying, but if one person is trying and the other is not, that's when it usually doesn't work.
And it's not always, but no one is perfect.
Okay.
Right? We do have our positives and negatives, and the other person does. So yeah, we did pass through counseling as well to help us go through. And because I always give this as an example, because I wanted to go to counseling. I wanted to show him that he was doing wrong here and there and everywhere, and I am right. And that's how the relationship go. Going into the counseling, coming out saying, oh my God, I did have faults too. I never expected the counselor go like, but you did this and that. I'm like, how dare you? And then be like, oh yeah, she's right, you know? So it's for both of us. We both have positives and negatives. We both have had our faults, and that's how we need to overcome them, like to continue.
As long as there's shared motivation to make it work.
Yes.
To want to.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got the outsiders, the haters. They'd be like, this shouldn't work. We should do something for this not to work. Not because it's us. It's everyone in life. Every 2 people, whether it's business partners or love partners or whatever it is, there is outsiders that people want to break this for one reason or another. And you gotta, keep that bond strong. So it's not only us and what we're passing through. It's what's around us that's trying to break us as well.
Yeah. The worst enemy is the one within the house.
Maybe.
So it's keeping that away and
Maybe.
keeping that place secure. So,
Yeah.
Dude, I think there's always going to be doubts. I think there's always going to be tests towards any relationship, towards any situation.
Not only relationship.
Now you're parents.
Yes, we are.
Now you're parents.
And
We've been parents for 9 years now.
Oh, not now. Okay.
yeah, we are.
And you were born in Lebanon. Oh,
Yeah.
Born in Lebanon, raised.
And
in
our kids were in Lebanon, born in Lebanon. Yes, they were born in
We
Lebanon.
only came here 7 years ago.
So
they
Angelo
were born
was
there.
1 and Sky was 3 when we came here.
Right.
Mhm.
And then you raised them in Australia.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is the perfect question. What is the difference in raising and I mean, how did you have to adapt in Australia?
Look, to start with, we are parents, yes, but we learned it along the way. So there were a lot of mistakes, and our kids had to put up with us. Let me be honest.
Yeah.
I think every parent has that. And being raised in Lebanon, look, there's positives and negatives there and here. There, everyone has to give an opinion. Everyone, right? The teta, the jiddo, the jara, the everyone. Your friends, your people online, everyone, right? You're never the right person to give the right advice to your child. And everyone is a doctor and a counselor.
The whole suite.
If you tell them to stop doing that, then that's offensive.
That's the end of your relationship with them. Whoever it is, even if it was my mom, it was so hard to try and say, hey, that's my child. I want to try to raise them the way I think it's right. But coming to Australia, trying to do your way as well. It's not judgmental, no, but there is a lot of restricting laws, if I may say. Like you'd be like, I'm a very loud mom, so I can be like, and my kids would be like, but that's not the law. You can't do this. I can call the police, and and you're just doing it the Lebanese way. You're ayating, and it's not really something offensive for the child. But definitely they are in a safer environment here for me, coming from a place where you don't know when there's a bomb, you don't know when the school is being good to them or not, you don't know if the stranger on the street is good or or not. You don't know when your house is going to be broken in. There's a lot of things in the country, right? But here you'd be like, thank goodness that we're safe. They're learning good qualities in school and learning how to be a good citizen. That's helping them. So I think there's both a plus and minus here and there.
Yeah, I agree to that. I mean, I haven't been raised in it, but yeah. Question: If we went back to August 18th, 2013.
Oh God.
What would you tell Charbel and Christine then as who you are now? And
I don't know how you did it.
Keep going, it's gonna work.
Yes, keep as long as you are you want this commitment. You're committed, it's gonna happen. Okay. There's no right way, there's no wrong way. Keep the respect between the two of you and say, yes, I want this to keep on going, and we will.
And it will. Now you both work in OzArab Media.
We do.
You do. And as a couple, I want to know the working environment, that what happens there and how you work together.
It's a very interesting and nice question because, as we mentioned before, we met through work.
Yeah.
So we're used to working together, and we know how it goes to split between a couple and colleagues, right? Because even back then, we were dating and going into a business meeting, we would talk, likes and not likes. And that's how our relationship really grew, right? But at the same time, we knew we had responsibilities to do. We used to go back home as a mom and dad and, having Sky around us and doing all what a couple does. And still me sitting here, him sitting there, me sending him an email, dear Mr. Shabab, kindly find attached, Used to keep that professional path because that's how we met and that's how it should go. So that stayed with us till now, OzArab Media. I do know that, yes, I am his wife and maybe at points I am the boss at home, but I know my limits at work. Yeah. Like, not because I'm Charbel's wife and people come and talk to me about this and that, it means it's done. I always say, you got to go back to the boss. I'm not sure we're allowed or whatever the circumstance is. So, no, we do know our limits.
Right.
We might argue later at home. Hey, why did you say that? Why did you do that? Why didn't you do that? Because that's how we're helping each other grow and improve. You should have done this. You should have done that. But that's between us.
Yeah.
Right? But going back to work, the professional face should always stay there.
Yeah, I've seen that work with a lot of people, and I've seen it not work with a lot of people. There are people who succeed tenfold because they are a couple and they understand each other so well, because of trust, it's just so lubricated, the communication. And for other areas, it just makes the family situation weird. And I want to know, is there a skill, is there a muscle you had to train to make that happen?
Yes, it's the ego. You have to start letting go of that.
I was going to say, it's not always you.
Yes, you have to understand that these are my strengths and these are my weaknesses, and these are her strengths and these are her weaknesses. How can we work together? So what I can do, I know that she can never do. She doesn't want to do. It's not her interest. And what she does, I never want to do. Like when she goes and interviews people, I would never do that. I would never go up to someone with a microphone and ask them a question. It's not
knowing
me.
there might be rejection. It's like ouch, you know.
It's not the rejection. It's all the blockages before
it's just
I
not him.
actually muster up to do it. Whereas for her, give her a microphone, she'll interview Albanese. She doesn't care. It's her. It's her personality.
What worse than bullying back at home, hey? What the worst can happen?
100%.
And me being behind the scenes, knowing that, understanding her well, knowing that, okay, she's going to go in that direction, she's going to be doing that, she's going to be asking that, and anticipating that helps in making things work-wise. Same thing at home. So I know that, like if I say this, it's going to tick her off because she doesn't like me doing that. So I avoid it.
Yeah.
And she does the same. Because there are some, you have to understand the other person's limits and their personal likes and dislikes, and know when to avoid them. So
their personalities. We have different personalities, definitely.
Like, I notice with other couples, they know what annoys their partners,
and they still do it.
but they still do it because they have a lot of ego in them. It's like my way or the highway,
or kind of a
because
revenge.
I'm not getting what I want, because I'm angry, I have to make the other person angry as well, and that's what hurts.
Yeah. And they always say, do not bring work to home. Well, guess what? We work from home.
Yeah.
you cannot, right? Especially if you have a different opinion. We talk about it. Keep the respect in between. Like, don't hurt each other's feelings saying, oh, you did that. You were so stupid in doing that. No, you did that wrong. You know, you don't have to go the other mile, you know, to hurt them. And I'd be like, okay, especially at home with kids, Khalas, daddy is now on a Zoom meeting. Just let's go away from him. And it's not like, and he does work every single morning. We were just talking about it. Like, no matter what we're doing at home, on holidays, in a hotel, no matter where we are, the first hour and a half, he has to finish work. Right. And then we continue our life. I know that. We have to just mold into these. So we don't be like, Halas, you did work today. You shouldn't. It's family time. Stop it. Your kids want you. No, well, his kids would talk to him when at another time when he's not doing something. So we just respect our spaces, our jobs. And the kids are in there. They know what's happening, and they're just...
Look, for me, the only place for drama is on TV.
What's drama? Yeah.
No room. Yeah, the way I look at it is what you're describing is basic communication skills, and it's almost on roids when you're in a relationship. It's
but we still do mistakes, you know. It's not like, oh, we're this perfect couple. We still go into arguments where we can't help ourselves sometimes. And we, as I said, we learned it along the way. Not that they told us this is how you have to go through or this is how you have to. So we're humans. We have feelings that sometimes control us. So
and look, you have to also learn that there are many ways to apologize. You don't have to say, oh, I'm sorry. No, you don't have to. You show it. Because sometimes you really don't feel like saying it and you're still hurt, but at the same time you understand that because you were hurt, you hurt the other person. So
there's a diplomatic way of doing it. You don't have to be blunt. You know?
It's about understanding again, always.
And now that you're working together, how long have you been working in OzArab Media together?
A couple of years now.
Couple of years. I mean, there's quite a few exciting things coming up.
Oh yes, always.
We just talked about the gala that's happening, and there's some information can't give yet. Tell me more about that and the process behind doing that.
So usually we start preparing for the gala at the beginning of the year, but it takes place around May. Lots of invitations, lots of calls, lots of visits. It's exciting, at the same time very stressful, especially the few weeks before the event. I'm a completely different person. I'm not a ticking time bomb. I'm a consistently exploding bomb. And my business partner, regards to him, Remy, he's gonna listen to this later on. So he bears with me a lot, and of course she does as well. Because I'm very organized. I want things to go a certain way. I know they're not going to go that way, but I still want them to go that way.
I can't even dare say, hey, Charbel, we might need to change Saturday, for example, because the kids have a birthday. He would burst. I'd be like, you know what? I'll just go without him. Moving on. Do not tickle that now. Yeah, so. But look, to have, in our opinion, a very successful event, regardless if it's a gala or a business or whatever, it needs dedication. It needs a lot of work. As simple as, if I want you to visit me, I have to initiate and visit you, so that when I invite you, you'll be like, yeah, you know what? They did their part to me. Let me just do mine now. So same for the gala. We had to visit every single person for a personal invitation and a personal appreciation, right? Regardless if they are part of it socially, economically, business-wise, no matter what's their, position through it. It's nice for me to say, hey, David, personally, and give you some time so that you would give me yours, and I'd appreciate it. And having our first gala last year, over 550 people. So that we had personal visits to each and every one of them.
A lot of visits.
It's like 550 visits in 365 days.
Wow.
Yeah. And also you have to give people value. So the event itself has to kind of prove its own value. Like, why do you want to be there? Why should you be there?
What we do media. So media is like, spotlight, showcase the people or the idea of the people. Well, we have to show what we do. Showcase.
And there's a gala upcoming. It's going to be next year, maybe in the first quarter. Yeah. And what do you think is going to happen there? And what is the main reason behind the gala?
The gala is to celebrate another milestone of success for OzArab Media. And it's also a reason to bring lots of people together, show them what we're doing, listen to them, see what they want us to do more, because at the previous gala, we got a lot of feedback about what we were doing during the first year, as well as what we could be doing. We took a lot of it on board, and lots of people, they can see that we have evolved. We have more offerings now. We have lots of better opportunities for people to advertise through us. And we're getting lots more clients because they know that what we're offering, no one else in the community can offer right now.
Right. It works.
It works. And we proved it in the gala, and we keep proving it every day.
Yeah.
And it's not just any gala, like any corporate company, because part of the gala we have as well the
AIM Business Awards.
Business Awards. So we do awards as well. So yes, we worked with these businesses or not, because some of them we don't know them. We do like to spotlight other businesses, what they did, their hard work, their dedication. So we keep room for the public as well to vote for these people. And we actually award them on the night.
Yeah, and look, even though we are OzArab Media, so our focus is Arabs, but at the same time, our goal is to bridge the gap and help Arabs get out of their cloistering, open up to other cultures, and evolve as a society. Which is why we founded the AIM Association, the Australian International Multicultural Association. Okay. So in a way, we're focusing on businesses that have a multicultural aspect, that either employ people of different backgrounds, that work with people from different backgrounds, which is technically almost any business in Australia.
Practically.
Yeah, practically. And we award them. I know there are lots of awards, there's lots of business awards. There's lots of like the local business award. There's the ethnic awards. There's lots of those. Ours is different, is because it highlights just that point, the multiculturalism. So we have a lot of people who apply for that. Last year we had around 40. This year we're expecting much more applications. So it's gonna be interesting. We're looking forward to it.
And we do fundraisers as well during the gala. So it's not only about our corporate company, it's about others as well. So we give back to the community this way through OzArab Media. We give I shouldn't be saying we through the OzArab because I wear another hat there too. But try to fundraise, give the opportunity to fundraise for other causes as well. And that's what we did last year. OzArab Media was in collaboration with the Canterbury Bankstown Lions Club, which I'm the president of at the moment. That's my other hat. We were able to raise money, and the cause we worked with last year was the Myanmar war. There were a lot of people, refugees in the bushes running away. They just needed the minimum survival kits, and we were able to help. Thanks for OzArab Media to raise money and send whatever we could overseas. So hopefully we're looking into doing the same thing to another cause as well.
That's big work. I was actually surprised as to how many Australian Arabs exist in different aspects of life. And you managed to combine them all within that one room. What did you realize about that combination? What are some insights?
Going back to Lebanon, anything can separate us. Anything can make us different. It would be a dream to see everyone together, and we had a lot of people say, how did you manage to put all of these people on the same table without throwing, cups on each other? I'm like, well, they would throw cups on each other in Lebanon maybe, but how amazing is that? Even us in Lebanon, when we go there, how dare we stand in a queue? No, I know this, I know that, I shouldn't be standing here. I don't know what to get what we want. Here, without even opening our mouths, we go into that queue and we wait for our line. Why? If we can do it in Australia, why don't we do it in Lebanon? Right? So, it was nice seeing all these people together for one, cause, or seeing how we can actually put our hands together. How we managed, as again, spotlight. I give you your time. I appreciate you. I tell you how important you are to us, seeing you there, and them seeing other people doing the same thing. So we have something in common. So we can actually exist in the same place.
In media, it's also very important to understand the word media comes from medium, which is a channel. You need to act as a channel for everyone, not just for one idea or one political affiliation or one reason or one religion. And when you can show people that, yes, I will get your message across as it is, as long as it's respectful to everyone else, and I'll do the same for the opposing view as well, then they trust you and they respect you because you're the same distance from everyone. And it also helps that my business partner was in the Lebanese army. So he was the same distance from everyone. And he still is, and he still practices that. So it helps in bridging the gap between everyone, making them come together and celebrate together despite their differing viewpoints.
We also see, coming from Lebanon, that we have Lebanese newspapers or TV channels. They always link themselves with a certain political party, right? So that, yes, they're going to give us amazing shows and everything, but their agenda is with this person. So if you want to hear that type of agenda, you open this channel and whatever, right? We try to show people here in Sydney that no, that's not the case. It's not us. It's not about us. It's about, giving the message you want to give the way it is with the, background you want to give. So we do have good relationship with all political parties and all ethnical parties, because they are sure that whatever they want to, say, it's going to be said as is. And they don't know what we are or who we are, which is not important really at that stage because we're a channel. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Like with the work we do as well, I realized there's a why behind that as well. It's like, why do you want to connect these people? It's a headache. It's a wajh haras. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
And I looked at it. I went into some research, and the humans as a species evolved the fastest and in the best ways when we were connected together. And there were technologies that came out, advancements that connected us together. The internet, as terrible as some people make it out to be, all these whatever. Because of the internet, I can call anyone on anywhere on the planet and collaborate on a project.
Yes.
And because of that, you can look at the rate of advancement, the health systems, everything that's in place, how fast things can happen. 2x, 4x, it's exponential. It keeps going up. It's a curve.
So it's why. Each one has a different reason why to do it. So with the why, the reason behind it. And with the internet or the tool, you either use it in a positive way or a negative way according to why you're doing it.
Exactly.
Right?
And if only the way you approach connecting all these different cultures together can also be applied to the internet, in that everyone highlights the positives, highlights the human aspect.
But not everyone wants to highlight positive, unfortunately. With the media,
Especially
newspaper.
when you're dealing with politics.
Yeah. It's like
But that's okay, because that's what they need to understand. If I'm attacking a certain thing I assume to be negative, I'm not attacking you. I'm attacking that idea. Because I'm giving you a chance to fix it and make it better.
Oh, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, because seeing it from the politics in Lebanon, you can't dare say your point of view in front of I say it in front of you because you're gonna take it personally. You're forgetting that I am no one now. It's my idea. No, you're attacking me. Why are you I'm not attacking you. I'm telling you what I think about your idea. So either take it as an advice or a feedback to try to improve, or just don't take it at all. But you don't think that I'm attacking you. And
there's a baseline assumption there that humans can change. There's a baseline assumption that we have a growth mindset and we aren't our ideas because we can't change from our ideas.
Look, it's not about humans can change. Humans should change, should always be changing, because that's how you evolve. Yeah. If you don't change, you stagnate. And if you stagnate, you die. That's it.
It's okay if you had an idea and you changed your mind. It's totally okay.
Yes. Because the way I even approach religion is that it's not set in stone. Like, yes, I understand there are religious books, but we can take what we want from them. We can take what works from them. We don't have to take the whole thing. And if I have a certain idea, I want people to challenge it. Because when they challenge it, I can find what's right and what's wrong with it, what I agree and what I don't agree with. And sometimes they might convince me. And if they convince me, that's good. I can make my idea better now.
It's so hard to do this type of personality because some people would be like, they're not challenging the idea, they're challenging me, how they're there, It's not easy.
I mean, ultimately, if someone doesn't want to challenge me, I kind of get it. Even if someone doesn't challenge me, I get offended because do you not think I can take it? Do you not think I want to grow?
But when you always think you're always Elvis, you don't want anyone to challenge you, right? You're always the star. And there are a lot of personalities out there. And that's what's not helping them evolve or not helping the community they are in to change into the better.
And that's the ego.
100%.
That's the ego we're talking about.
Yeah. And that's what politics plays on. It plays on the ego, because I guarantee you maybe 95%, if not 99% of the population, they don't know what they're voting for. They don't read the actual idea behind the vote. They vote for the party. That party represents me. Maybe, but does it always? Maybe not all the ideas. So this is something that we always have to be careful about. We always have to check what we're voting for, read it, understand it, and then vote.
Which we don't do in Lebanon.
Nor here. Nor here.
Being informed citizens.
Yes.
In that way. Yeah.
And knowing that attacking the idea is not attacking the person.
This is important. This is important topics.
They are.
Look, even Jesus himself talked about it in the Bible. He said they get busy with the peels, and they forget about the source. They forget about the main issue. So people like to get busy with who is talking about the idea, and they forget about what the idea is. It's about the person, not the idea.
And sometimes about what they're wearing when they were talking about it.
Oh yeah.
It's that
Who they're
shallow.
friends with.
It's that shallow.
It's funny because that's a subconscious bias. It's we connect to each other. We trust people because it's close to home. It's subconscious.
You do not have to like that person. You can like their ideas and vice versa. Right? You can be very good friends with these people, but you're not with their ideas, and that's okay.
Yeah. That's huge. It's not only politics, it's social media.
It's
and
everything.
It's the generation coming up, having so many different sources, different role models, different ideas. It's distinguishing between the idea and the person.
Yes.
I've got another hat that I wear, speaking of that, which I give ethics for primary school. So that's the part of the scripture program. So kids, when they sit and talk, so in scripture, usually they take religious studies, and there's one that is non-religious, which is the ethics. And they try to learn values through being a good citizen, right? Through you, as you, how would you take things in? And the very one law that every time we have to mention in these classes, you go like, you have to, negotiate with your partner or whatever the activity is. Please, you do not have to agree with that person, but please respect their point of view, right? Not because he's my best friend that I play with in recess, I have to agree with him. And not because he is I don't like him, I don't have to agree with him. Just focus on the idea, right? You like it, you think it's logical, go for it. No, but respect him. Don't laugh at him. That's how we teach little kids. But eventually it's going to what we're talking about, right? Society.
I relate everything to the ultimate goal. And if I were to use an ultimate goal, it would be the expansion and the advancement of the human race. If we cannot do something as simple as understanding each other, respecting each other regardless of disagreement, how are we going to connect and grow? How?
Yeah, but look, it's a very, very hard and strong and mature, I believe, way to... And I learned it just recently, like I can say maybe in a year or so, is to keep yourself so calm and focused and quiet when you just do not agree and you don't want to, just attack, right? I believe this is maturity because I could find it in a lot of people around me. I could not shut up. I just want to say something. He's not right, but it's not going to change it. Just shush, just respect. It's hard. It's not easy. It is a skill, because if you're going to say something, you're going to hurt them, which means you didn't respect their point of view, right? And if they are so stubborn in just keeping that idea and not listening or being open to other suggestions or opinions,
there's no point.
No
Just
point
come
at
back
all.
later.
And when it's time to be loud, when they can accept it, then it's time.
Yeah. It might come and it might not, but well,
it is what it is.
it is what it is.
Sometimes yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are people who are too set in a certain idea that you just can't convince them.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's their right. And who knows? They might be right.
There's this psychological reframe that I always like to do. And I do it often. And it's called the elders frame, where I fast forward to when I'm 80 and I talk to myself now. And the reason why I do this is it takes me out of my head and it allows me to think and extend my time horizon.
Wow.
Instead of thinking about now, what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen in the next hour. Okay, is this actually going to help me long term? And I'd like you to do that if that's possible. Think of yourselves as two 80-year-olds in a marriage. And I'd like to hear from you. What's something you
I
speak
dare
to
you say I
yourself?
have a lot of wrinkles or I gained weight.
I don't think I'd have enough eyesight to see any of them.
Look, it's funny because I do go into a lot of this moment where I think a lot of people do that the same way. I think this is it. This is the peak. This is gonna stay forever. So I don't know. Like I don't know if I'm not gonna be this person who is this person now. I don't know if I'm gonna be an old lady where I need help from my kids. Oh, I don't know.
Yes,
Like
to open the wine bottle.
yes, you know what I mean. Like when you are at your peak, it's maybe the best age, the best status in life, and everything, and you'd be like, "That's it." Do you think it's gonna stay forever or not? I am at the state where I think, "Oh, this is it. That's where it's gonna be." That's so maybe seeing me when I'm 80. I don't know. It's hard.
What would you
I'm
tell
scared.
yourself if you were 80?
What I would
you
tell myself
now? What do you think?
do the best out of it, because I don't think this is gonna last. Because at the moment, I think this is lasting forever. So I would just like to go back and say, you're not as young, you're not as healthy, you're not as, I don't know. I think I would say enjoy it to the maximum, because that's not the end of it. It will, there is an end to this.
I sense gratitude.
Yeah, I'm
Appreciate
scared. Yeah, I think so. I hope my kids would be nice to me. Because seeing me now, how I shout at them and discipline them, like, hopefully they don't take revenge by then.
I see the way you are with your kids. They're amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, well, for me, it's I'd probably say something funny to myself. I just can't remember what it would be. Yeah.
No, Charbel is more down to earth and accepting, the phases in his life.
That's a good testimonial.
Well, he puts
It drives her
grounds.
crazy sometimes, but
No, he's my ground. Like he'd be like, because sometimes I can go, yeah, that's amazing. That's calm down. So that's amazing. Like we have different personalities, but we complete one another.
And when I get too down, oh, she's my helium balloon.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think so. So I hope we live until then, so that we can, entertain one another, and I hope we have one another.
We take it
Till
one day
then.
at a time. So all good.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, because life, you don't know what life, and that's what
Yeah.
scares me. You said gratitude, I don't know how I was feeling, but I'm just scared maybe one would have to leave the other earlier, and that's my
Yeah, don't think about it.
don't think about it. There you go. Yeah.
Look, it's about just taking it as it goes. I mean, I've been doing that since my 20s, maybe, and it's working. I mean, I keep getting to better places every day. So I think I'm just gonna keep going like that. I'm not gonna think too much into the future, because then I would fall in the trap of over planning and over expecting. So I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna
That's what I
leave
do.
it as it is. Because I've always noticed that when I don't, like, I have a vague idea, okay, of what I want, but I know I'm gonna get better. Because
for me, it's different.
because now I'm better than what I expected I would be when I'm at this age. Oh, yeah. It's working.
So it's
Keep
working.
going.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. Now to finish off,
Yes.
there's a very important bunch of questions I have to ask.
Finishing off a bunch of questions. Another 2 hours.
It's crucial questions. Okay?
All right.
No.
All right. We're going to be around about 6, and I want rapid fire from you,
Yeah.
and then an explanation if necessary. Cereal or milk first?
Neither.
What?
I'm on my shake.
I'll shake.
No, I'm just thinking how I do it for my kids. Cereal.
Cereal.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Need to soak, right?
Oh, it's a huge argument. You guys.
Yeah.
All right, this one's also very controversial, and this is how I'll know if we can be friends or not.
Okay. Oops.
Pineapple or no pineapple on pizza?
Depends on the mood.
100%.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, sometimes I put chocolate on peanut butter, and sometimes I put cheese. So I don't know. It just depends on the mood.
Cheese on peanut. Okay.
So that's why.
That's an
Oh, look, I reserve my right to change my mind.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I feel like peanut,
Pineapple.
pineapple, and sometimes I feel no, I don't.
And it depends on who makes it.
You are being the exact role models you need to be now. You're not putting black or white. You're finding the gray.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That means that we can mold into, anything.
Okay. Favorite Lebanese dish?
That's a hard one.
One.
Also depends on the mood.
خلاص يعني
One,
he wants
one.
an answer. يعني.
مغربي.
Oh, he loves مغربي.
مغربي.
For me, I would say one.
Yani, you're on an island.
مجدرة.
You need one.
Nice.
You're on an island. You only get this one delivered to you every day.
ورق عنب. I love ورق عنب.
What a henna.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yum.
Once for Sully with
I
his
could, if we're stuck together, we can share.
See? See?
مغربي ورق عنب. Alright. Okay. Black or green tea?
Come on.
Yeah, I don't like tea.
Okay.
I'm more of a coffee person.
Sugar or no sugar in coffee?
No sugar.
No sugar.
No sugar? Why is that?
We're sweet enough.
Healthier. Got used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's a habit. Like I used to, I couldn't drink black coffee at all, and then I learned to have it, and I just
Same.
like it as is. Yeah.
Okay. And the last one, if you had to choose between going to the pool or going to the beach, what would it be?
Again, the
Depends on
mood.
the mood.
Okay.
Yeah, because sometimes I just wanna, do the boarding with my kids
Yeah,
at the beach, and sometimes I just wanna relax in the pool. So,
Okay.
yeah, but I'd say in Sydney it's more towards the pool because it's always freezing out there.
Yeah. Fair enough. So what I've realized from that is choice is important. Whatever comes to mind and whatever's appropriate then.
Yes. Yeah. That makes life easier,
Okay.
I think.
Lovely. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure being here.
Honestly, the conversations we've had, I think, is very important to be in the hands of many. And it shows, honestly, the biggest theme is unity.
Yes.
Unity as humans and the benefits that can come out of
And
that.
it just reminds us of who we are when saying them out loud, It's just, it's good to have this chat. Thanks for the opportunity.
100%. I want to thank you. I don't think I've framed it, but Charbel, you're an author. You're also a mass serial entrepreneur. and you direct OzArab Media.
I do the media management. Yes, the
media management.
Yeah.
And I'm the joker. Yes, whenever I'm needed, I'm there.
Look, president of Lions Club, and you volunteer. You are in many ways the change maker of Bankstown, both of you.
Oh, thank you.
And I want to thank you for your work and thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having us. And you yourself are a very successful young man, which we're proud to have met and be part of Bankstown somehow as well.
Another lucky coincidence.
Yes, that's true.
To finish, I need to do something very important.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to try to nail this.
Okay.
Lebanon. Did I do it?
Much better than what we would have done.
Yeah.
Perfect. Pleasure having you on.
Thank
All right.
you. Thank you.
That conversation was good. If you enjoyed it as much as I do, be sure to go check out more on Instagram, YouTube, and the rest of it because that was a conversation. Until next time, be sure to connect with Honor.